व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Hare Om. So, reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, devotional service, verse number 2. Someone can share. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Vesya Mano Ye Mam Nitya Yukta Upasate Sraddhaya Parayopeta Te Me Yukta Tamamataha. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Vesya Mano Ye Mam Nitya Yukta Upasate Sraddhaya Parayopeta Te Me Yukta Tamamataha. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Vesya Mano Ye Mam Nitya Yukta Upasate Sraddhaya Parayopeta Te Me Yukta Tamamataha. What word? Sri Bhagavan Vacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Mai, upon me, Avesya, fixing, Mana, the mind, ye, those who, Mam, me, Nitya, always, Yukta, engaged, Upasate, worship, Shraddhaya, with faith, Paraya, transcendental, Upeta, endowed, they, me, by me, Yukta Tama, most perfect in yoga, Mata are considered. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect. Please repeat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In answer to Arjuna's question, Krishna clearly says that he who concentrates upon his personal form and who worships him with faith and devotion is to be considered most perfect in yoga. For one, in such Krishna consciousness, there are no material activities because everything is done for Krishna. A pure devotee is constantly engaged. Sometimes he chants, sometimes he hears or reads books about Krishna, or sometimes he cooks prasadam or goes to the marketplace to purchase something for Krishna, or sometimes he washes the temple or the dishes. Whatever he does not let a single moment pass without devoting his activities to Krishna. Such action is in full Samadhi. We'll try to understand this verse. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkrupatamaham vande Sri Gurum Devatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Iswaram. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhayeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Sri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantam. Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta ki jai. So, we'll try to understand this verse and the chapter sections and the connection from the 11th to 12th chapters, and then we'll try to see one example, time permits. So the previous chapter, as you see, the 11th universal form, 55 verse, actually very crucial verse, essence of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada talks about it. So mat karma krun mat paramo mat bhakta sangavajya nirvaira sarva bhuteshu samameti pandava. So 5 things are mentioned. This can be looked at in different ways. So one should work for me, devotee should work for me. That is first one, mat karma kram. And then that can be building, cleaning the gardens containing the flowers and tulsi. So making the garlands, various services. It could be anything. Devotee should act for me, work for me. That is mat karma kram. Mat parama, making the Supreme Lord Krishna is the only one and only goal. So no other goals except him. That is mat parama. And then further it's mat bhakta. That means the process of devotion service includes 9, so starting with Sravanam and Kirtanam. So that is mat bhakta. And then further sangha vajjita. You should not tolerate associating with those opposite to him. Then nirvaira sarvabhuteshu, that he should be devoid of enmity to those people opposed to him. Nirvaira sarvabhuteshu. So because since he considers that this suffering is caused by his own karma, their own karmas, so he shouldn't be bothered about them. So then such a devotee attains Lord Krishna. So this aspects, or this can be looked at as different qualities of. I was looking at in a different way. Speaking on this verse, I was looking at in a different way. Work mat karma kram, with what positives and negatives. If you want to attain, work with positive do's, which is Sravanam and Kirtanam, which is with bhakti. But then the don'ts, which means with Sangha Varjita, avoid association with those who are too much attached to the material things. Intimate association, you cannot avoid, but intimate association. And then that's why Prahlad Maharaj, when he surrendered, when he was praying to Lord Narsingadev, he was mentioning that I'm very much afraid of this material consciousness. So don't allure me and ask me for this benefit, that benefit. Ask me this blessing, that. So that you are making me again. So that's why I'm taking shelter of you. So I want to be free from, become free from this material contamination. Sangha Bhita, what is used there. Here, Sangha Varjita, the same aspect. So he himself, even though he is a but he himself is telling, I am afraid of this unwanted association and attachment. So that those are don'ts. Nirvaya, this is also don'ts. One must be friendly to everyone. Don't be envious of anyone, because that's by their own karma they are associated. So that's why that Jita Sangha, that is the first and foremost.
Your voice is breaking it up, Prabhuji. Haribol.
Lord Krishna is talking about, one is deluded with the pride, then he'll. I'm using my cell phone. Let me see. How about now?
Yeah, in between it's breaking it up, but now it's okay.
Let me put it down. Okay, hold on. Krishna, how about now?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. So I was mentioning, so Baladev Vidyabhushan talked about these 5 aspects: Mat Karma Krum, Mat Paramo, Mat Bhakta, Sangha Varjita, and Nirvaira. So one who follows these 5 aspects, he can attain Lord Krishna. Then I was looking at a different way. So working with do's and don'ts. The do's are the Sravanam and Kirtanam, Mat Bhakta, and the work is Mat Karma Krum, and the don'ts are Sangha Varjita and Nirvaira. Then you can attain the mat parama. So those Sangha Varjita is avoiding association with those, intimately associating with those who are too much engrossed in the materialistic activities, religious activities. And the Nirvaya, friendly to everyone, free from this. Don't be envious of anyone. And it also means, this Sangha Varjita also means giving up the pride, false pride. That is the first qualification Lord Krishna is talking in many different places. If one is conditioned soul is puffed up, then he will not be, it will be very difficult for him to surrender to Supreme Personality of God. So that's why one must cultivate the real knowledge. He is not the Lord of the material nature. Then only you will be, that's why we will see in 15th chapter, attaining the Supreme or the Purushottam Prapti Yoga. Nirmana Moha Jitasanga Dosha. So that is the first qualification Prabhupada is explaining. That otherwise, without that, he will never be able to surrender. So that's why the true knowledge. What is the true knowledge? As Bhaktivinoda Thakur is talking about in Chaitanya Sikshamrita, he's talking about two aspects of Vidvat Pratiti and Avidvat Pratiti. So Vidvat Pratiti means realization to the true knowledge, described as realization under Vidya Sikti, knowledge potency of the Supreme Lord. So that is coming through a bona fide spiritual master. Understanding without knowledge may be described as understanding of the Lord under ignorance. So what does it mean? If Krishna is understood through Avidvat Pratiti, many controversies arise. If he is understood through Vidvat Pratiti, there is no place for disagreements. Those interested in spiritual development should immediately obtain Vidvat Pratiti. Otherwise, what is the point in understanding through Avidvat Pratiti? Falling into argument, confusion, losing the actual goal of life. Some idea about Vidvat Pratiti has been given. Vidvat Pratiti is possible for those persons who give up material conceptions and can conceive of spirit. They can then perceive Krishna with their spiritual eyes, hear his pastimes with their spiritual ear, and release Krishna completely with their spiritual taste buds. Krishna's pastimes are completely non-material. Though Krishna can be, by his inconceivable potency, become the object of the material eye, by nature is not perceived by material senses. When Krishna descends and reveals his pastime to the material senses, only the person with Vidvat Pratiti attains the real contact with the Lord. So that's why we must be very careful. This understanding and receiving this knowledge through a parampara system from the Supreme Lord. Then, otherwise, anything which has these speculations of Vidvat Pratiti, then we will not be able to, we'll have a lot of confusion and different arguments. We will never go anywhere. So that is the connection here. So because 11th chapter, Arjuna is, wants to confirm his own position. He is attached to the personal form of the Lord. Lord has shown universal form, then he showed four-handed form of Lord Narayana, then he showed finally two-handed form, Syama Sundara form, Vrindavan Krishna. And he was very much satisfied, that's what he is attached to. So he wants to confirm his own position. More than that, he wants to show the whole world the pure devotion service, two-handed form is the highest, the topmost. So that's when the 54th verse also, the connection is from the 54th verse, where he's talking about pure devotion service. Bhaktya tu ananya sakyaham eva vido Arjuna. So ananya yasa, unalloyed devotion service, pure devotion service. So that's why, so the 12th chapter, that is a connection from 54 and 55 verses. That is a connection. Now the chapter 12 is divided into 3 sections. You can say of 12 of 1 to 7 is personalism versus impersonalism. Which one is better? So that is Arjuna is asking. Or you can say bhakti is superior to impersonalism. So you can mention different ways. The second section is, that is the first section where the second verse is in the first section. The second section is 8 to 12, different stages of bhakti. So 8th verse is, so gradual progression is given. First is talking about the highest Raganuga bhakti in verse number 8. Then gradually going down one level down is Abhyasa Yoga, 9th Vaidhi Bhakti in essence. And then the 10th level is Karma Mishra, Jnana Mishra Bhakti. And then further is going. So various levels, because if one cannot do the highest level, then second, then like that 5-6 levels Lord Krishna is speaking. So that's where different stages of bhakti is given, 8 to 12, that is section 2. And then the section 3 is the qualities of a devotee, or bhaktastakam, yeah, same thing. Or you can say how to become dear to Lord Krishna. So in this way, this chapter 12 can be understood. And also when we look at in a holistical way, the 6th chapter, the first 6 chapters is talking about mostly in the karma, nishkama karma, starting from karma yoga to nishkama karma, bringing a practitioner to that aspect. That is what is stressed upon. So is stressing finally Nishkama Karma, not attached to the results. So that gradually you will come to the process of attaining liberation. And the next 6 chapters and the last 6 chapters how to be detached. Jnana Yoga has been. But the middle 6 chapters talking about the pure devotion service. Fundamentally, what it is talked about, especially from 7th chapter onwards, is Karma Mishra Bhakti. That's why you see Chaturveda Bhajantema, 4 kinds of people surrendering. One who is distressed, one who is inquisitive. So all those 4 kinds of people, Chaturveda Bhajantema was. So starting with Karma Mishra Bhakti, gradually going to Yoga Mishra Bhakti in the 8th chapter. Then in this way we will see the 12th chapter is the essence, the ultimate, the supreme, the pure devotion service. In this pure devotion service also there are levels which is explained in this 12th chapter. Basically, if you look at that in a broader perspective as a 2 types, being fixed in bhakti through internal senses, being fixed in bhakti through external senses. The first type of bhakti using internal senses has against 3 subcategories, which is smaranatmika, mananatmika, or abhyasa rupa. Smarana means directly, spontaneously you are remembering. Those, the cohort boys, the gopis, the elderly gopis, or the Nanda and Yashoda. So, like that, in different rasas. They are directly spontaneous. This is Raganuga Bhakti, Ragatmika Bhaktas. Pure bhaktas, unalloyed, nitya siddhas also are there. So eternally liberated souls. This is Paranatmika. Then the second aspect is Mananatmika. So if you are not directly spontaneous, but you are trying to meditate upon, which in this verse, Maya Ves Manoyema, as is mentioned, absorb your mind. That is the second aspect of Mana. Smarana and Manana, that is the 8th verse, basically using your mind and intellect. And the 9th verse is talking about the more third aspect using the internal, which is Abhyasa Rupa. You have to do practice. Sometimes you may absorb, sometimes you may not be absorbed. But by gradual practice, we'll be able to come to that concentrated manana, concentrated remembrance, contemplation, absorption, reflection, recollection. All those aspects will come. So that is these 3 are the internal level. That is 8th and 9th are talking about these, the Maranatmika, using the mind and intelligence. And then the second type, which are in the Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti aspect especially, is the using the external senses, composed of hearing and chanting, easy to perform by everyone. Those who are qualified for performing both the methods, internal are most outstanding, but it's not possible. So that's why the second 6 chapters, starting with 7th chapter, gradually it is bringing living practitioner with Karma Mishra or Sakham Bhakta, gradually bringing to Nishkama, and then finally bringing to the pure platform of Bhakti, unalloyed, undeviated, uninterrupted, unmixed with anything, karma or jnana or yoga. Just only one and only goal, and only for pleasing the Supreme Lord and Guru, nothing else, no other deviations are there. So that is the pure chapter 12 in essence, basically. Now this verse number 2 is described here. Maya vesya mano imam nitya yukta upaste sraddhaya prayopeta te me yuktamo mata. So that means Lord Krishna is talking about, because as Arjuna is asking, so first verse, Arjuna is asking, what is the topmost? Is it those who are worshipping the impersonal aspect, or those who are worshipping the personal aspect? Which one is better? There, so it is explained by the acharyas in second and consecutive chapters 2 to 6. Or one understand and realize the Jivatma. One meditates on the Supreme Lord. So gradually. Then that is the first part. And then the second part was shown in the 7th and subsequent chapter 7 to 11, which after understanding that Jiva then starts meditating upon the source of this form, Supreme Lord, by the process of bhakti, with hearing and other devotional activities, such as Maya Asaktama, that is the starting verse of 7th chapter. In this middle 6 chapters, bhakti is mixed with yoga. In the 8th chapter, the jnana mixed with process of bhakti, jnana mixed bhakti. And then gradually, so come to the highest form of bhakti. Now, so that's why Arjuna is asking in this That is the first verse commentary by the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Now the verse number 2, if you look at it, by Baldev Vidyabhushan is mentioning, the Lord being asked, answers, those devotees who worship me with firm faith, paraya sraddhaya. This is transcendental faith. Prabhupada translates, Baldev Vidyabhushan translates firm faith, but more or less same, but we'll try to understand what that firm faith, the transcendental faith. Continuously absorbing their minds in me, Swayam Bhagavan, the son of Devaki, Nandan, or Shyam Krishna, having a completion of blue lotus as well as other qualities, who worship me by hearing and other methods, who desires an eternal relationship with me, Nitya Yukta, are considered by me to be the most qualified. They have the method for the most quickly attaining me, Yuktatma. And then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is mentioning, the Lord said, I consider those who worship me, desiring to associate with me constantly, absorbing their minds in me, endowed with faith beyond the gunas, to be the best knower of yoga. Among them, my devotees are best. Those who have absorbed their minds in me, Syamasundara, those who desire to be constantly united with me, with faith, which is beyond the gunas, paraya sraddhaya. They, my Ananya Bhaktas, are the best knowers of yoga. Then he's quoting the concerning about the faith. Faith directed towards spiritual life is in the mode of goodness. Faith rooted in fruitive work is in the mode of passion. Faith residing in irreligious activities is in the mode of ignorance. But faith in my devotion service is purely transcendental. So from this, it should be inferred that inferior to these Ananya Bhaktas are those having bhakti mixed with jnana, karma, or other processes, who are called yoga vitthara. Thus, it is shown here that bhakti is better than jnana, and that among the types of bhakti, Ananya Bhakti is the best. So, in this way, we can understand from various aspects. Now, how to concentrate the mind. So, one way, and we see that in Bhishma Pitama example, Mr. Prabhupada is talking about, unless one concentrates his attention, he's talking about yoga means, bhakti yoga means concentrating the mind detached from the subject matter, all other subject matter. Actually, such concentration is samadhi or 100% engagement in the service of the Lord. One who concentrates his attention in that manner is called yogi. Such a yogi or devotee of the Lord engages himself 24 hours daily in the service of the Lord. That's what Prabhupada in the purport is giving the example. Either it's cooking or gardening or cleaning, worshipping, chanting. So it's 24 hours engaged in something or other. That's what here in Bhishma Pitama purport also Prabhupada is talking about. Whole attention is engrossed with the thoughts of the Lord in ninefold devotion service, namely hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping, praying, becoming a voluntary servant, carrying out orders, establishing a friendly relationship, or offering all that one may possess in the service of the Lord. By such practice of yoga or linking up in the service of the Lord, one is recognized by the Lord himself, as it is explained in Bhagavad Gita concerning the highest perfection stage of Samadhi. The Lord calls such a rare devotee the best amongst all the yogis. Such a perfect yogi is enabled by the divine grace of the Lord to concentrate his mind upon the Lord with a perfect sense of consciousness. And thus, by chanting his holy name, see again, chanting his holy name is crucial. Thus, by chanting his holy name before quitting the body, the yogi is at once transferred by the internal energy of the Lord to one of the eternal planets where there is no question of material life and its concomitant factors. So the first point in that is made in this is one who concentrates his attention in this manner. So that means by this chanting, process of chanting in each and any activity we do. So that's why one, in order for the chanting to be attentive, so 5 things one must avoid. I had mentioned in one class before, but we'll repeat that again. Things to avoid. Laya means tendency to sleep during the kirtan or hearing or smarana while chanting japa, in order for increasing, in order for our increasing the attention. So one should follow this regulation. That's why yukta ahara viharas, yukta chetasya karmas, yukta swapna avabodhasya, yoga bhavati dukkha. So one must be regulating these aspects, the external aspects itself. So then internally will be able to, otherwise naturally senses are engrossed in this too much of eating or too much work, not enough sleep, then we'll sleep. Either we are reading, we'll sleep, or even while standing up also we'll sleep, even while standing and chanting, because body is too much tired. So that's why there should be some regulation in our activities. We should balance our lifestyle, simplify our life. If there is no simplification, it's very difficult. Our heart should be simple, not for actually to be concentrating the mind. If the heart is not simple, then it's very difficult to concentrate the mind on the. So that's why we can see that whether it's a hunter, a mrugari, or many practitioners, even though they are not qualified, seemingly external, but the only thing is they have transcendental faith on the words of the spiritual master, Narada Muni in the beginning. So he was son of a Sudrani, for the matter of Mrugari. He didn't have any qualification, he was killing animals. But because of their implicit faith on the spiritual master, Asyadeve Paravakti Ratha Deve Tata Guru Tasyevahi Kati Prakasante Mahatma. So that's why it's very important. Transcendental faith one must have on spiritual master. So, and then regulation aspects gradually following that. So then the laya, tendency to sleep, one must avoid. Gradually practice it, then we can avoid. It won't come in all of a sudden. So the second aspect is vikshepa, distraction toward mundane topics while doing devotional service, gossiping while doing japa, or while hearing, while doing class chanting. So all these aspects is distraction toward mundane topics. Unless you are authorized, has been instructed by your spiritual master, you cannot chant while hearing. You cannot do the multitasking, those things. So we have to be very careful those aspects. The third one, apratipatti, refers to the occasional inability to absorb the mind in kirtan and other services in spite of the absence of laya or vikshepa. Occasionally, sometimes mind is not fixed. So while chanting or while doing reading or while hearing, we want to do something else. Still the absorption is there in some other things. Attraction is there to other. We jump, okay, we stop in the middle and we do something and then we are come back. So that kind of occasional inability to absorb the mind. We have to observe these things and try to fix it. So that's why there should be, whether we like it or not, we have to keep that regulation. At this time, so these hours, we are going to chant or we are going to hear, we are going to do something. We have to fix up the schedule. Yes, there will be breakups. At least out of 30 days, we will be able to do 20 days. Then gradually by the practice, as Prabhupada mentioned, it took me 15 to 20 years to practice my chanting. So if we don't have even regulation, there is no practice, there is no systematic process. For office and business, we have systematic, but that same thing must be applied to the devotion practice. Then otherwise we can't do. That's why this abhyasa, we are not in the Raganuga Bhakti, as in the 8th verse is talking. We are in the other one, third one, abhyasa rupa. So that means we have to practice. That means there should be some regulation. So then we can avoid this apratipatti and vikshepa. Then the fourth one is kasaya, refers to the innate tendency towards such qualities as anger, greed, and pride. So as we discussed already, pride, that is first qualification to give up the pride in order to surrender. So that these are the anger and greed and pride. Because of the attachment to the material objects, gradually anger is arising. And previous unwanted association. And then, and no regulation. So that also. The anger is subtle way, anger comes out because of the attraction. So, which most of us know what it is. So the anger, so that leads, and the greed is there. So nothing, we're not satisfied. That's a simple at heart. It helps to be satisfied with whatever we have. We don't compare with others. That person may have all these things. Why don't I have? So that won't arise if you're satisfied. So then the last one is rasaswada, means the inability to absorb the mind in kirtan and other service. One gets the opportunity for material sense pleasure. Nishtita bhakti, study bhakti, appears in the absence of these faults. So unless we come out of these faults, we cannot come to the nishtha stage. Basically, even after initiation, also this anartha nivritti, 75% of anarthas is not removed yet. So then we cannot come to the nishtha stage. Then further is ruchi and asakti. Then maya asakti. That asakti stage is the Raganuga Bhakti onwards. So that's in some places, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, I think chapter 21 or 22, Prabhupada talks about out of 9 devotional practices, the Sravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. From Sravanam to Smaranam, Sravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam. Those 7 aspects are coming under Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. And then the Sakyam and Atma Nivedanam is talking about Raganuga Bhakti. That doesn't mean the Raganuga Bhakti devotees doesn't chant or doesn't engage in hearing or smarana. No, that process, that means we are not able to come to that full surrender like Bali Maharaj, full surrender like Rishabhadev, the Ambarish Maharaj, full surrender like Pandavas. So the faith is transcendental faith is not there. So because the senses are not controlled, those two goes along with it. So that's why these 5 things must be avoided. Chanting of the holy name can perfect everything else, but we must take these things into consideration. So one another aspect, because in this verse it is mentioned as worship. So worship, many times the worship can be delegated. Worship can be done to any demigods also. So that's why most of the time we use bhajati. So that means one must serve with love, unless service is utmost priority. Service must be done. Also, chanting is also one type of service, but there should be some physical service. It helps. Transcendental loving service. So that's why that is mentioned by the in Srimad Bhagavatam. Ya yesam purusham sakshad atma prabhavam isna bhajanti avajananti sthanat brastha patanti yada. Anyone who does not render service and neglects his duty unto the primeval Lord, who is the source of all living and he will certainly fall down from his constitutional position. Very strong statement in this verse. That's why the bhajanti worship can be applied to demigods or any other common living entity. So that's why here avajant is used, is because one will fall down. So or speculate full ideas. So that's why it's very important to engage in rendering service to the Supreme Lord, to the spiritual master and representatives. In this way, we can be fixed up, we can develop taste in the chanting, and gradually those 5 aspects to be avoided while chanting will help by the personal service to the Lord and devotees. Otherwise, it's very difficult to regulate ourselves. So that's why about the faith, Prabhupada is talking about in many places. So one place he's talking about Shraddhava Lavate Gnanam Tatpra Samyatendriya Jnana Labdha Param Santam Asrenadi Gacchati. Shraddhavan means one who is faithful. He can take up this knowledge faithful. Those who are hesitating, those who have no faith, it is very difficult for them to accept because the method is standard. It is given by the highest authority, Krishna. So we must have such faith. Here is the thing, authoritative. Just like faith is in any transaction we have, we must have some faith. Now suppose if I go to California from here, from New York, now I have purchased a ticket by going air. Now I have got this faith that this company, this aeroplane company will take me there. Maybe there may be some accident, but on faith I accept it. Yes, it will take me there. When we go to the barber shop, on faith we stretch our neck and razor is going on. He may at once put into the neck, but you keep the faith. Yes, we have got the faith, you will not do that. So without faith, we cannot make progress. If in ordinary dealings, we have to accept faithfully something, who knows that this aeroplane will take me to California? It may go down to hell, the oil. Thus, in the bus, there may be some accident. In the railway, there may be some accident. There is a possibility. But on faith, we accept. So if you want to make progress, we must have faith. And where to keep our faith? In the authority. We're not going to book our ticket in an unauthorized company. Those who are acknowledged company, we purchase their ticket to go to California. Similarly, here we must have faith in Krishna. If you have got this faith in Krishna, or Lord Jesus Christ, or whatever you may have, without faith, you cannot make progress. That is called faithful. And those who have no faith, they are called faithless. So here it is clearly stated, Shraddhavan Labate Jnanam. Those who are faithful, they can make progress in the knowledge of spiritual advancement. Tatpara Samyatendriya. And faith, how can we become faithful? Samyatendriya. You have to control the senses. That's why I was mentioning about the regulating. Without regulation, it's very difficult. The whole thing is in our material existence is here because we want to gratify the senses. This is the whole disease. This faith of spiritual advancement can be, I want to say, enhanced when we agree. At the same time, samyatendriya, just like if you are taking a treatment of physician, you have faith, all right. But the physician says, don't do this. If you do this, then what kind of faith you have got? Physician, when he treats some patient, he prescribes something, don't do this, don't do this. Some don'ts and some do's. Now, if I say, my dear physician, I have got all faith on you, very good. But if I cannot follow your instruction, you said don't, but I do it. Oh, how you can? How you are faithful? So Shraddhavan Labate Jnana Tatpara Samvitena. You have to follow the instruction with faith. Then you get. You have to follow the instruction with that transcendental faith. So that's why it's very important to follow the faith. Material things itself, we have faith, but the problem is we don't have the same faith when it comes to the transcendental aspects. So when this formula is properly executed and attains to the stage of knowledge, then his profit is jnanam labdha param. Then he gets complete peace, param shantam, complete peace. And peace is very near to you. The near future you will have. If you stick faithfully follow, very near, not very long. Achriyana means very near, very quickly. So then you will be peaceful. So when this, just like when the disease is cured, just like you have got some boil in the hand or some part of your body, physician says it has to be surgically operated. Now, with faith, you undergo the surgical operation. During the operation, it may seem very severe. You may be feeling very severely, but when the pusses are out and it is bandaged, you will feel relief. Oh, my dear physician, you have done a great deal of progress. But when the operation was going on, he was at hell. So in this way, same way, we must tolerate these urges and control the senses and have this transcendental faith and follow the process regulatively, very religiously, seriously and strictly. Then we can develop this attachment and advance in Krishna consciousness. So that's why it is very important to have this transcendental faith. So just like Lord, this month is Lord Jagannath, so special as Snan Yatra, then further going on to Radha Yatra, coming up on July 1st and July 2nd, and Netrotsav before day, June 30th. So it's very important to be absorbed in that mood. And we see all the great devotees of Lord Jagannath, Dasya Bauri, or such a simple devotee, Dasya Bauri also is ordinary worker, especially as also Muslim. So, and then there was a Prabhu Das. He was very poor. He was just selling pan and somehow maintaining his life. But he was able to attract the Lord's attention, Lord Jagannath and Baldev. So they used to go to his home and eat and go back, not paying. Then Balram Das told, you ask them for money. That, and then next time he asked, oh, you never asked, that's why we never brought. Tomorrow we'll bring. No, how are we be sure? Then keep something here so that next day you will come at least to take this. So then they kept the Uttariya. Lord Jagannath kept his Uttariya and then they went back. Next day morning when they saw that Uttariya is not there in Jagannath temple on the altar, then the Pujari understood something happened. So who stole? All the jewelry, everything is there. Who can steal Uttariya? Nobody will steal. They will steal jewelry. Then Balram Das understood and went to his home and asked Prabhu Das what has happened. Then these two boys came, Krishna and Balram. Yes. So then he understood what has happened. So then from that time onwards, this pawn is being offered. So yes, so when it comes to devotees, it's generally ideal to give it to others, those who eat pawn. As devotees, we don't eat pawn. For Lord, yes, everything is offered. For Lord can take anything. So pawn also can be offered. Many temples they offer in India and here also. So it is for the Lord's pleasure. So tambula. But for us as devotees, it's better to not to take, but to give it to others who take as a Mahaprasad. So we'll see that like that there are many devotees of Lord Jagannath who are very simple at heart, karma bhai. So many examples of there. We'll quickly read a few things about Raghav Pandit, how simple at heart, but how simply is serving. By that example, we can see how we can serve in the Yatra to Lord Jagannath. You can understand. This is Mahaprabhu's pastime, chapter 15 of Madhya Leela. Yehi matta Mahaprabhu bhakta gana sanghe nilachale rahi Kare Nitya Geetarange. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed at Jagannath Puri, he constantly enjoyed chanting and dancing with his devotees. So then is describing about glorifying Raghav Pandit. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showed by himself. First of all, he is never alone. He is always with in the association of devotees. So it applies to us. He is teaching. Lord doesn't need anybody, but he is teaching. We should be always in the company of devotees, in the association of devotees. As much as possible, we should try to be. And then he is always chanting. So and dancing. And the way he is absorbed whole day. Oh, Govinda, already noon. Govinda is telling, Lord, noon has already passed. So now it's the Upalabhoma time. So you have to perform your noon duties. That's how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to be absorbed in seeing Lord Jagannath, so much attracted and attached to the beautiful form of the Lord Jagannath. So where he is now glorifying Lord Jagannath, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu informed everyone, just hear about pure devotion service rendered to Krishna by Raghav Pandit. Indeed, Raghav Pandit's service is supremely pure, highly accomplished. Apart from other commodities, just hear about his offering of coconuts. A coconut is sold at a rate of 5 gandas each. Although he already has hundreds of trees and millions of fruits, he is still very eager to hear about the place where sweet coconuts are available. He collects coconut with great endeavor from a place 20 miles away, and he pays 4 panas each for them. Every day, 5 to 7 coconuts are clipped and put into water to keep cool. At the time of offering bhoga, the coconuts are again clipped and cleansed. After holes are made in them at the top, they are offered to Lord Krishna. The Lord Krishna drinks the juice from these coconuts, and sometimes the coconuts are left drained of juice, and other times the coconuts remain filled with juice, because out of love he is offering. So Lord does different things at different times. Sometimes he is eating even the coconut pulp, sometimes he is draining, nothing is left. Sometimes he is leaving. So it depends on different times. He's doing different activities. When Raghav Pandit sees that the juice has been drunk from coconut, he is very pleased. He then breaks the coconut, takes out the pulp, and puts it in on another plate. After offering the pulp, he meditates outside the temple door. In the meantime, Lord Krishna, having eaten the pulp, leaves the plate empty. Wow, see what a fortune, the great fortune. Sometimes after eating the pulp, Krishna fills the plate again with new pulp. In this way, the faith of Raghav Pandit increases. He floats in an ocean of love. So as I explained, these revelations will come only by the association of pure devotees. Then only it can come. The Kirtan also I mentioned before in another class. Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagna Nirvapanam Sriya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidya Vadu Jivanam Anandambudi Vardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrata Swadam Sarvatma Stanapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtan. That Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtan will not happen for anybody and everybody. So Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtan can only happen when one does it at the stage of Nishtika Bhakti. He can have Param Vijayate. All his senses are enlivened when he's chanting, when he's engaged in Kirtan. So that's why it is mentioned Param Vijayate. Before that, many aspects are mentioned. Vidya Vadu is so humble. Is very attentive and sensitive to each and every detail, paying attention to details. So like a new bride comes into the house, at least in the beginning, how she makes sure she serves, attentive to all the needs, sensitive to everyone. So that in that aspect, Vidya Vadu, Jivanam is mentioned, many aspects is mentioned in the first verse of Sikshastam. In order to come to that Param Vijayate Sankirtan, otherwise it is not possible at the beginning stage of when we don't have that, when we don't give up these anarthas, unwanted things in our heart, then it cannot be enlivening to our senses. All our senses are not enlivened. All the holes are not transcendently filled. So that's why it's very clear. You can see Raghav Pandit's case, how much is enlivened. So that's where Lord is reciprocating, revealing. So that revelation will happen, that Ananda will come through the association of especially those who are dedicated their life for propagating Krishna consciousness. That's why the responsibility, and then those who are using their time to preach to others. So they are glorious by serving them, by being in their association. So Prabhupada and his disciples, by being in their constant association, then we will be able to get some revelations in our heart, some drops of seeds of bhakti, some mercy. By their mercy, we may be able to develop some attraction and attachment to the service and the holy name. Then the things will sprout up, revelations will come within the heart by the Lord through the mercy of these pure devotees. So you can see this, that's what is happening. One day it so happened that the 10 coconuts were properly clipped, brought by a servant to offer to the deity. And the coconuts were brought, there was a little time to offer them because it was already late. The servant holding the container of coconut remaining standing at the door, Raghav Pandit then saw the servant touch the ceiling above the door and then touch the coconuts with the same hand. Raghav Pandit then said, people are always coming and going through the door. The dust from their feet blow up, touches the ceiling. After touching the ceiling above the door, you have touched the coconut. Now they are no longer fit to be offered to Krishna as they are contaminated. Such is the service of Raghav Pandit. He did not accept the coconuts but threw them over the wall. His service is purely based on unalloyed love and it conquers the whole world. Therefore, Raghav Pandit had other coconuts gathered, cleansed, and clipped with great attention. He offered them to the deity to eat. In this way, from distant villages, he collects excellent bananas, mangoes, oranges, jackfruits, and whatever other first-class fruit he has heard about. All these fruits are collected from distant places and brought at a higher price. After trimming them with great care and purity, Raghav Pandit offers them to duty. So we cannot imitate, but the idea is we try our best. When we go to the shop, it is not that I like this vegetable, I like this fruit. No, but yes, that is all good in the beginning. But gradually, we have to see what is fresh, what is best in the market available, what is fresh, what is locally grown, if possible. Those we should try to offer, try to learn and offer. If we have to cook, we have to learn and offer those things. But it is not what we like or what somebody likes. That may be initial, it's all right. But gradually we have to see that and is constantly look out. Oh, fresh season, now it's lychee season, now it's some other fruit season. We should get an offer. We should try to look out. Not, no, it's too far. No, it's not available here. We should be on the lookout where things are available. That's what Prabhupada used to ask this young man, gentleman. He seems to be very healthy. Ask him where he does shops, where he does shopping. The Prabhupada is teaching. We need to know, because if you want to serve the Lord, we need to know all avenues, how, what things can be offered at best within our capacity to serve the Lord. Lord doesn't need anything, but the endeavor, that endeavor comes when you have the eyes, when you have the, really thinking how to serve the Lord. Then these thoughts will come, then the all other things. Lord will show the path, where to go, how to get it, even at distance place. Or you ask other devotees to get it if it is not too near you. In this way, endeavor, in this way, as the example of Raghav Pandit, some of the things we can follow, not imitate. At least hair must be cut, nails must be cut, there should be hair cap, all this at least at temple, whatever kitchen we may be in, we should try to follow, because Raghav Pandit is doing a highest standard, but at least the basic standard which Prabhupada taught in the beginning itself to all the devotees to follow. So that then at least we are doing our best. Even though we may not be at the highest level, but slowly we can get to some level. If we have that, at least in the beginning stage, we have some thoughts to follow Prabhupada's instruction. So by gradually we will be able to progress and then develop this attachment, as Krishna is talking about here. Maya Vesamano Yama Nitya Yukta Upasana. Constantly, regularly, we will be able to absorb our mind in this way. Padayatra is coming up. Then what should I do? What I can try to offer? How can I serve devotees? How can I serve the Lord? In what capacity? There should be planning ahead of the time, 2-3 weeks ahead of the time for all festivals, big festivals. Then we'll be able to do something. If you plan 10 things, at least we can do one thing. If there is no planning, there is no, all we will do is we'll go and pull the rath and see the Lord and come back, open eyes, close eyes, and come back. That's all we will do. We will not have much services other than that, no other thoughts. So that it requires some contemplation, some serious attention to the details. So that's what the reflection on this verse. Thank you very much for patiently listening. Gandhara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakti ki jai.
Yeah, thank you, Krishna Namananda Prabhu. Basically explain how to perform devotional services. Nice examples, nice way of putting together. Thank you so much. Devotees, anything you'd like to add? Any questions or comments, concerns? Is it time for discussion? Please go ahead. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Namananda Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Glories to you. Please accept my humble obeisances. Wait, Prabhu.
Prabhu, my question is related to japa. So
Yes.
I can understand that we need faith to do even material things, and the example you gave of the barber and the aeroplane to take a flight. Of course, we need faith for spiritual topics which are beyond our capacity. I mean, we haven't been so beyond our understanding. So you need faith in the person who's sharing that knowledge with you. Now, when it comes to Mahamantra, Prabhu, what we learn is there is so much potency in the sound vibration. The 16 words, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Yes.
That there isn't, how do I say this? You don't have to believe whether Mahamantra works or doesn't work. You don't need to have faith. It's something like the example of you have a headache, you take Tylenol. The person may not know what is Tylenol or anything else. So you take that, your headache goes away. So I'm trying to understand this aspect of regular faith in chanting japa. And then the next stage is what you were describing about the transcendental fate. So if you could please elaborate on this, please.
Yes, what you mentioned. So it is like a fire. Whether you like it or not like it, you put whether as soon as you are in association with fire, it will burn. So that is its natural quality. Same with the chanting. So then, but there are stages, there are steps. As I was giving example and giving the details, that revelation in the heart. Even though we might be hearing the sound vibration, but whom we are hearing first, because the first initiation, when we are receiving the seed of bhakti from a spiritual master, then otherwise, because this is the question I have been asked for the first and the second also, that means, are you saying that why do you need first initiation, why do you need second initiation, the chanting, that means, are you trying to say that Hare Krishna Mahamantra doesn't have a power, so why do you need your first initiation, why do you need second? No, the actual seed of bhakti is coming through a bona fide spiritual master. When that is shown, then your chanting has its effect, because he is just like before Lord Krishna comes, Lord Balaram is the nourishing, is removing all the anarthas, then Lord Krishna is appearing. That's why he has a plow to cultivate the land, which is cultivating our actual place, our soul, improving, removing all anarthas. So Lord Nityananda, Lord Balaram is representing the Guru Tattva, and he removes all the anarthas. So that's why we require that potency, the mercy from the bona fide spiritual master. Then it actually increases our transcendental faith. It increases our attraction and absorption by their mercy, by their potency. Like even to the worshipping the deity at the temple, prana pratishthan, you and I cannot do it. Only done by the Prabhupada, and is represented by their mercy. They are inviting the Lord, and inviting the Lord to be into that Archa form. They're through that Prana Pratishtha pass. Obviously, they are following the Shastra by Gopal Bhatt Goswami. That book, I forget the book name now, Satkriya Deepika. So they are following, but still the main ingredient is to invite the Lord from their heart by a pure devotee and offering tulsi leaves. These are the main process. When Lord Prabhupada established Krishna Balaram Mandir, also that was the prime and foremost reason. But because in order for all other brahmanas to be more, be fixed on, or more faith on. So then Prabhupada called all other Brahmanas to follow all the Shastra regulations, how to, install the deity and everything else. But the main principle for him, it was chanting by the devotees and offering tulsi leaves, inviting the Lord by the pure devotees. That was the main. Then everything is done by that just simple two steps. So in that way, that's why by the association of pure devotees, then it becomes Param Vijit. Otherwise, Kirtan will do, but it has other speculations and other ideas. We don't have real attraction, attachment. Right? We can look at our life in the beginning, first few years, before surrendering to a spiritual master. What was our chanting like? We are chanting, but real taste is not there. So mechanical. Even though now it may be some mechanical is still there, maybe, but at least it has improved quite a bit than the beginning years. We might not have even developed a taste to serve the Lord or the devotees in the beginning. But because by the association of the spiritual master, first level of anarthas is removed. So that's why we have developed more stronger faith than before. Then as you move further steps, we take 10 steps to follow the instruction of spiritual master. To those many steps we follow, to those many steps our faith, our taste, our absorption for service, all these will increase next 10 steps. It goes on. It's a very reciprocal. To the degree we are following to the sadhus and spiritual masters, then the revelation actual in the heart, anarthas are removed. We are not able to see externally with our eyes, but that's what happens in the heart. By this, that's why it is very important to have the transcendental faith, avidvat pratiti and vidvat pratiti. So where Bhaktivinoda Thakur is putting, that is coming through a spiritual master and his devotees. So that's what I can reflect upon. That is the difference. Second initiation, the same thing. The potency is there, but you have to receive through a spiritual master, and we are absorbing the mind. We are constant 3 times a day. We are chanting on the Gayatris, and Gayatris also will give in the Brahma Samhita that has been given, that by properly chanting the Kama Gayatri, Krishna Gayatri, last two, gradual process, Gaur Gayatri, all these are there, Guru Gayatri. Then by the last 2 Gayatris, we will be able to attain the actual real desire to be in the association of pure devotees and serve the pure devotees in the Vaikuntha world. So but if we have some other desire, those other desires also will be fulfilled. That's why we have to be very careful what desires we have while chanting this Gayatri, what we really reflect upon. So it is mentioned there in the purport, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is giving commentary on that. Don't desire other things, then otherwise they will be fulfilled while doing the Gayatri. So be careful while doing the Gayatri. So that's why these processes are given, but provided that mercy of the pure devotee is been ingrained, followed. Then by that, everything else will improve. Our hearing, our chanting, our smarana, everything will come. That will become transcendental, basically.
So, probably I can understand the significance of initiation. And also, Prabhupada has said that you should avoid listening from the lips of a non-devotee, because just like a serpent touches milk, he can poison it.
Yes.
So, and there are these pastimes where someone was singing kirtan, and Prabhupada asked his disciple to shut the windows, because he says, though he's taking the holy name, all I can hear is money, money, money. So that can be understood. But at the same time, Prabhu, now, we have, for example, some of us are initiated. We have a Guru Maharaj who has initiated us into the Harinam. You take the formal initiation. Then, some of us go to the second initiation, and some may even go to the third initiation of sannyas, which is fine.
Yeah.
So that helps you in your sadhana and your spiritual progress, initiation. Prabhu, but the instruction or the learning which we have, there are no rules and regulations, nothing hard and fast to do japa, because it is so powerful. And the other thing which we also read is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. One of the newspaper actually criticized the Mahamantra. They were they spoke against the Mahamantra. And his disciples were very upset. But Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj was very happy. He says, just see the number of times they have spoken about the Mahamantra. They have written the Mahamantra, and see how many readers have read the Mahamantra. So like this, Prabhu, we also go out, Nagar Sankirtan, correct? And we do Kirtan on the streets and in colonies and this, that.
Yes.
Definitely, I am not at that level of, the Vaishnavas for that purity. Then what about when we are singing and that sound is going to some person either passing in the car or sitting in his house, he's listening to this Mahamantra. Then how would that work? He's not initiated, he's not interested, and maybe just it goes into his subconscious and he starts singing the Mahamantra.
Right.
How would that
basically
work?
Yeah. So basically what it means is one is the potency is there at different levels. Whether initiated or not initiated, one who is chanting, definitely there is effect. I forget the full verse. Helanam va, Sanketam va, Chetan Charitamritam, Chetan Bhagavad, that was. Even everybody somewhere jokingly or criticizingly, haram, or Muslims may say, whatever way they may say, or angrily, or Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhupada's example you are quoting. Either way, the effect will be there, but it may be longer term or this life or next life, but the effect definitely you will get the sukruti for that. So it depends on time, but it is depends on the how simple at heart. The person who is chanting, sometimes he may not be simple at heart. The other person who is hearing, if he is simple at home, this seems to be nice. If I follow this, then I may purify myself and I can attain the goal. Then if he has a very simple and very, very faithful, more than the person who is saying it, then he may take it up seriously. And we have seen some examples in book distribution we hear from different dairies that the person is not even in the in presence of Prabhupada, or not even associated with devotees at some distant place. But once he met the devotees or heard about this chanting and this Krishna conscious process is simply followed at home without having any devotees association nearby at a distant place. But after many, many years, they met them and then they see that, oh, they have Prabhupada picture and they are worshipping the Prabhupada and following the process. So they are very simple at heart. So out of three types of initiation, one of them is that that also Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is, because they are very simple at heart, they are directly accepting and by simply hearing, so they are also receiving the mercy in that way. So through devotees, either one time or however is receiving, he did receive through devotees, but because of simple at heart, he is able to progress and absorb much more than the person who has given also. So it can be looked at different ways, but definitely potency is there. So the mercy is there and potency is there in the Harinam. And even hearing any process of 9 limbs of devotion service, it has its potency. But to what level, to what degree the person is, means simple or is too many things are there in his heart. Just like that simple example of that Brahmana and cobbler. Cobbler was simple at heart, that's why he's able to accept. But Brahmana was thinking, I am Pandit, I'm scholar. Now what he's saying, Naradaman is saying elephant through a needle. No, he cannot be. He didn't see, he just bluffing. That's what he thought, because he's too much Pandit. His mind is filled up with so much scholarship. Then obviously he couldn't grasp it. Lord cannot be grasped by our scholarship or anything. So that's why it requires some simple at heart also. So that is very much needed. So it depends. Based on that, the progress will be there.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Or Lorish Prabhupada. Anyone else? Questions, reflections?
Jai. Thank you, Krishna Namananda Prabhu. If no other questions, any comments or concerns, we also have a book distribution card. So if you don't have anything, then let us conclude today's session. Yeah. Thank you so much, dear devotees, for joining today. Thank you, Krishna Namananda Prabhu. Such a wonderful class.
Thank you, Allah Prabhupada. All those
Let's
who are
pay our obeisance to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Vancha kalpatarubhasya vasindubhyevacha patidanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Vaishnavanda ki jai.
Jai.
Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada.
Jai.
Guru
Jai.
Prabhupada.
Jai.
Hari
So
Hari
also
Bol.
humbly request
Hari Hari Bol.
devotees to stay.
Thank you,
So we'll
Krishna.
also discuss about the book distribution, Sankirtan this week, and upcoming events of Sankirtan. So please stay. Jai. Hare Krishna.